Okay, we're going to get a little personal here. It's going to get a little sticky. I want to talk about reclaiming our sex lives and our intimacy after having children. In the first 3 years after couples have a baby, they report a 67% decrease in relationship satisfaction. Having had two kids, I get it. I completely understand it. I think also, though, what that is missing is it's not just like about the relationship satisfaction, it's actually, or dissatisfaction, it's also about the fact that who we are as people changes once we have children, particularly for the person who carried the baby. How we are able to have space to interact in relationship, and also how we want to interact in our relationship. And not also to mention, or then we do need to mention, that hormonally there is so much changing that it even makes it difficult to think about, like, how are we supposed to be having sex, or if we are having sex it feels different, or I'm not as turned on, and da 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 da. And it's so wild to me because literally this is one of my journals. I wrote about this in my journal probably like after my first, okay? And then revisited it after my second. And now it continues to get revisited because I know in my work I continue to work with people who have just had a baby. I have many friends around me who have just had children. And so it's like constantly kind of revisiting this conversation of how do we get our sex lives back online after having a kid. So I brought my little journal with me because I just wanted to share some things. And these are just like notes that I had written literally years ago that I think really helped me in figuring out what's going on. And I just want to offer them to you. So the first thing that I think is really important is that after a woman has a baby, there is a complete remodeling of her brain for the first 2 years after having a kid. Huge. Okay, so there's a decrease in gray matter, and literally all resources neurologically are going to helping the baby survive. I think that's really important because, one, women will talk about that they feel different, that they're not thinking the same. Also, though, their partners are looking at them and they're like, who is this person? You have completely changed, or you never reacted like that before. And I just want to note, like, that's because literally that birthing person's brain has changed. And it comes back really after a full 3 years, but really 2 years, you're looking at, okay, finally, like the gray matter is starting to kind of to build again and grow again, and brain structure is coming back to it. So I remember when I heard that the first time, it really helped me be like, okay, that's one thing. It's not just, I'm not like making it up in my brain. My brain is literally happening like that. I think also what we need to recognize is that after a person has a baby, after a woman has a baby, her hormones are at like the highest level and then literally, boom, drop. And that is such a dramatic change on the body. Not only that, but then if she is breastfeeding or producing milk or attempting to breastfeed, there is a huge release of oxytocin. And oxytocin is the cuddle hormone. Oxytocin, though, is getting released when she is breastfeeding. And that is going to hinder what's happening in the primary intimate sexual relationship, because basically all neurochemicals, if I can put it simply, are really lining up to be like, we need to bond with the baby. We need to connect with the baby. We need to be with the baby. And so when the body, when that woman's body is there then ready to be with her partner, it's not going to be able to make that neurological shift in the same exact way. And also basically is kind of like overloaded on all the happy hormones, if I can put it like that, like getting all the dopamine kick and getting all the oxytocin kick through baby and feeding with baby. Now, by the way, even if not breastfeeding, still this motion of bottle feeding and really being with baby and gazing at baby is going to be, is going to release all the happy stuff. Okay, so then you have that. Then you just have the idea of like having a baby, and that is exhausting. It changes time schedules. It takes away these moments that we maybe took for granted before, that we didn't see as really important in relationship before, but they're really about like the flirting and the intrigue that happens that can build desire. So you don't have as much time to like really gaze at each other and see each other and touch each other and share in novelty together. And that is all really important for building desire in relationship. If you notice what I'm talking about, I'm not actually even just talking about sex. I'm talking about what happens before you have sex. And if you don't have as much space, time, energy, brain capacity for building what happens before sex, it's really going to hinder then the ability to be having sex in the way that you want to and how you want to. Which actually leads me to the next thing. How the birth happened is going to have an impact on like the comfort with the body, the sense of just like, I mean, comfort, not only just like, ooh, how my body looks, but literally the physical comfort of penetration again, of having body on body again. And I'm gonna like break this right now. Post 6 weeks, because we talk about, oh, after 6 weeks you get clearance to have sex. That does not mean that you are emotionally ready or physically ready to be having sex, and nor do you need to be emotionally or physically ready to be having sex. So I really want to encourage people to check in. Also, as a partner, yeah, you went to a 6-week check. Yeah, you were given, or an 8-week check, whatever, and you were given the clear to have sex. That doesn't mean that they are ready to have sex. Often people report after giving birth that can be a fear of just like the penetration again, whether it was C-section or vaginal birth. There can be feelings like things moved around internally. That's not uncommon either, particularly if there was a vaginal birth or if there was maybe more of like an emergency C-section. So there had been pushing, there had been a dropping down of the baby. You might find that things feel like they repositioned a little bit. Some people talk about that their G-spot moved, and like that can be a great thing for them as well. So just knowing that there's also some like needing to have space to explore that and slowness to explore that, and to know that how it felt before might not feel the same now. It doesn't mean it's going to be worse. It doesn't mean it's going to be better. It just means you have to give time for this sexual relationship to build again. The other thing that I wanted to note, and I think is really important, is there can be also like a touch. There's a touch deprivation along with a touch overstimulation. So this is particularly for people who have children more around 9 months and older. And the thing I want to say about getting your sex life back online after having children is, actually, this is the most important thing of all the things I'm going to say. No, really, they're all important. And I feel like I say that every time I record a video. You got to give it time. I cannot stress enough, you have to give it time. What happens is that, and what I see the most happen, and I know for myself personally too, is that there is going to periods where maybe the sex isn't happening the same way, it's not as frequent, whatever, sex is impacted, okay? The damage happens, or the difficult pain points that happen is by not allowing the time and space for the healing to fully happen, for the reconnecting to happen, and also to talk about it. To literally talk about it. You guys, I say it time and time again, if you open one set of lips, it helps open the other set of lips, and there is no joke about that. Talk about it outside the bedroom. And don't talk about it in a way of like, we're not having sex, why are we not having sex? We haven't had sex in X amount of days, weeks, months, like I need us to have sex. Talk about it from a place of like thinking about, if you were literally just starting to date this person, would you be like, we're not having sex? No. You'd be like, ooh, what do you like? What do you want? Start with curiosity. Start with play. Start with asking about their body. Both, by the way, both birthing person and non-birthing person. Like, how do they want to be touched, and what feels good? What could they imagine if you start having sex again? Like, what are you imagining would be playful and fun? How do you want to start having sex again? Do you need it to go slow? Are you wanting to bang it out really quickly? So what are you wanting? Open up your mouths and talk about it outside of the bedroom, outside of the erotic space, outside of it being pressure. I cannot stress enough how much that's going to help you. And that doesn't mean sex needs to happen that minute. That doesn't even need to happen that month, that week, that day. It is to keep the conversation going, allows the body to continue to feel comfortable with your partner in a sexual space, even if not being sexual. There is no time frame on it. It definitely can come back, and it will come back if you give space, time, and attention to it. Space, time, and attention. I hope that helps. I would love to hear your guys' experience of postpartum sex. I don't think we talk about it enough. I mean, I say that we don't talk about enough things enough, and that's why I'm here recording these videos. But I would love to hear about your postpartum experiences. I know for me, each of my postpartum sexual experiences were different, and as might it be for everybody else watching this. So I'd love to hear more.